good morning to you all. Happy Saturday, September 21st, 2024. I do appreciate y'all for watching this video as always. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comment section. Share this out to one person as well as tap that heart button and like it up for me, please, if you guys can. We're going to be talking about, once again, the tropics. We're going to be considering to talk about the tropics here pretty much all this week going forward, as we are expecting a tropical storm or hurricane to develop in the Gulf of Mexico later on this week. This is going to bring impacts to the Florida Panhandle, as well as Mississippi, parts of eastern Louisiana, and into Florida, as well as we go into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and maybe even up the East Coast later on into next week with those impacts. So, like I said, we still have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of question marks with this. You guys have been watching social media. You guys have been keeping up with other people as well than just me. There's a lot of question marks, and that's because we don't have a low pressure system that has officially developed yet. So we're still continuing to watch models go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I will say the GFS, the Euro, the Canadian, the Icon, a lot of these other models that we talk about a lot, they are starting to get a better grasp on this, and there's more confidence continuing to increase that we are going to have, like I said, a tropical storm or depression here within the next 2 or 3 days, and then potentially even a hurricane, and hopefully not a major hurricane, but can't rule that out with the Gulf waters and the abundant moisture that's going to be in place in a low shear environment for this storm to potentially develop in later on. Now, I do want to talk about the biggest update with this system so far, and there is now a 60% chance of a development of a tropical depression or cyclone here within the next 7 days, 0% chance in the 2, so this is not going to be in the short range, this is the long range picture here. I would not be surprised if the National Hurricane Center upgrades this to a high risk at some point either today or tomorrow. This would go up to like 70 or 80%. It would become a red shaded color, so don't be surprised if that happens. Now, I want to make something, because I've seen a lot of questions about this as well, and a lot of other people kind of be misled with this. And this area of development is not the cone of where the storm's going to go. So if you're looking at this, it's not going to Texas, it's not going that way. This is the area of where the system could develop in. So it could develop down here, it could develop here. Anywhere this system can officially, develop at is where that region is at. Now, where the track of this is going to go is more than likely going to favor the panhandle of Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, and eastern Louisiana. I don't really see right now Texas or central or western coastline of Louisiana being a problem at all. Just keep it a watch on this just in case something were to change. But right now, it really looks to be New Orleans over towards, I would say, like Panama City over into parts of Apalachicola. Looks to be where we could see more of a consensus of a landfall potentially later on next week. So that's kind of what my thought process is on this. We'll go over the models here in just a second on that. We've also got another area to watch here in the Pacific, 50% chance here in the next 7 days, 0 in the 2. And we've also got a new little blob here. This actually looks like a kind of a scary face here on the map here, but we've got a new area that did pop up here, 0% chance of development in the next 2 days, 30 in the 7-day period, as well as these other two that have kind of been lingering around. We're not expecting much out of those two. This is one that we need to watch, especially as we go towards potentially next week, where we could see maybe some development coming off the coast of Africa. This could potentially work its way toward the United States. It's a long ways out before we even worry about that system, so not too concerned on that one right now, but we'll keep an eye on that for you guys. But like I said, if you were along the coastline here from Louisiana over to Florida, you need to have your prep plans, kind of think about what we're going to go here, because the honest concern about this system is once this storm does develop, depending on if the Euro, the GFS, whichever model is right, once this system officially gets a low attached to it, we're going to have about 2 days to get ready for this, because the models aren't really agreeing with this becoming a named storm until about Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they're pushing landfall Friday and Saturday potentially on a lot of them. And so with that thought process, you're going to have like 48 to 72 hours to get ready for a landfalling tropical storm or hurricane from Louisiana over to Florida. So you need to be this week, if you're in these areas, it's not panic mode, but it's time to start getting those plans in place for hurricane prep, just in case you are in that cone, or, we're going to see those impacts. Now, the National Weather Service also did issue a heavy rain precip outlook for parts of the panhandle of Florida here, the Big Bend, Mobile, all the way to Tallahassee, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and up into parts of central Mississippi, or central Alabama, and into central Georgia. So we are going to see impacts as far as the Carolinas once the system does make a landfall next week. Another thing I want to talk about with you guys here, we are seeing severe weather today. We've actually got a pretty significant tornado risk today. We will probably go live for this later on this afternoon once this gets going. I've got to get some homework done, but other than that, we probably will be on stream this afternoon. Eastern New Mexico, Western Texas here. We haven't had a risk zone this significant in a while. Now, you're looking at this, it's a marginal, it's a slight risk, level 2, level 1 risk out of 5 for severe weather, but there is a 2 and a 5% tornado risk in this risk zone. So that's like what we had in Minnesota and Iowa the other day, where we had a couple tornadoes that popped off. We actually had a confirmed EF1 tornado near the Duluth area that actually caused a lot of tree damage. So in this area, be mindful. Interstate 40 here, Clovis, Amarillo, Lubbock, there is a chance for tornadoes. Damaging winds, large hail will be the main threat, but we could see a couple spin-up tornadoes, maybe even a potential strong tornado with the given shear that'll be in place. Back up here, we've got a marginal risk into the Central Plains, Midwest area here, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, northeast Kansas, eastern Nebraska, and northwestern Missouri here. This is for wind and hail. Not going to see any tornadoes out of this one today, at least as of less than 2%. And then we've got another marginal risk over here into West Virginia, Virginia, and PA for wind and hail as well. Now, that's today's severe weather risk. We've also got more severe weather coming tomorrow with the same system that's coming up out of the Four Corners here. This will bring another severe weather risk for your Sunday tomorrow, parts of western Texas, central Oklahoma, southeast Kansas, and southern and northwestern far extreme Arkansas and Missouri here. So we'll be watching out for that there. Wind and hail potentially going to be the primary threats for that threat. And then we'll also have the threat on day 3 here in our backyard, western Kentucky, northwestern Tennessee, southeastern Missouri, and northeastern Arkansas, where you can see a wind and hail. Couldn't rule out a tornado actually with this, with the shear that might be in place, so we'll keep an eye on that. What is this going to look like over the next couple of hours here? Let's do a 48-hour loop for you guys here. Let me get this pulled up. We'll go off the HER model run here, the latest HER model run that's coming in here, the 12Z. So this will be the focus for today. Like I said, spinning low pressure system over here all along the Four Corners. I don't want to say it's rare that we get these low pressure systems that dig down this deep, but for this time of the year, it technically could be. These are your showers and storms popping off around 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon. You can see all these little pockets of supercells potentially start to get more concerned around the 4 to 5 o'clock hour coming into Interstate 40, Amarillo, Clovis, Hereford, Roswell, Hobbs, Carlsbad. Be mindful here along this area that we could see a couple spin up tornadoes. Couldn't rule out a strong tornado potentially with this corridor of favorability that we have, as well as damaging wind and large hail. And this will actually continue to about midnight, potentially pushing into parts of northern Texas and into western Oklahoma before we get going with tomorrow's threat. Now, there also is going to be some widespread heavy rainfall that does as well fall with this system as well. We're going to have rain in Colorado. We're going to have rain in Kansas. This is a pretty big system that's going to drop a lot of precip. So be mindful of those water levels, those standing creeks, anything that you guys have, that's flood prone could cause an issue. Going into Sunday's forecast, you can see heavy rain moving into St. Louis, Missouri by tomorrow morning for your 6 a.m. commute. If you're going anywhere to church, wherever you're at there, Kansas City, a lot of people seeing rain. And then this moves into parts of Southern Illinois, Indiana, Western Kentucky tomorrow morning. We could see heavy rainfall here tomorrow morning in our area, in our backyard here in Kentucky, as well as maybe some damaging wind potentially, even though there's not a severe risk yet. I wouldn't be surprised if SPC kind of slips that marginal over. And then we get ready for the severe weather threat to ramp up again tomorrow afternoon. And you can see those showers and those storms ramping up tomorrow afternoon. So like I said, guys, overall threat for today, damaging winds, large hail down in New Mexico and Texas, and the potential for a couple tornadoes can't be ruled out with that scenario. Now, one more thing we're going to talk about, and that's going to be those model runs. What is the European and the GFS showing here so far with our potential tropical system? And I want to drop down here to the Gulf of Mexico. There's still a little bit of inconsistency with this, and we're still continuing to wait for a low pressure system, like I said, to pop up before we get that official word of, hey, we're gonna have a named storm. So the European model, as of last night, the OOZ run did have a tropical system as well as potentially a hurricane developing. We see this wave coming off over this area of low pressure developing by Tuesday afternoon, which is, like I said, not going to be a lot of time once this system does develop here. So Tuesday afternoon, potentially seeing a low develop here coming into the southern Gulf of Mexico. By Thursday and Friday, we get an official tropical depression maybe, and then this is going to work its way, potentially becoming a hurricane right before landfall. And the biggest potential here with the low amount of shear that we're going to have, which shear rips hurricanes apart. We don't want shear, or hurricanes don't want shear so they can continue to strengthen. We aren't going to have a lot of shear in place as of right now. We're going to have a lot of moisture, and we're going to have high energy content and heat content from the ocean all the way from the surface down deep in parts of the ocean. So that's going to help intensify the storm if this does come organized and works quite closer to the northeastern part of the Gulf of Mexico here. And we could actually see a rapid intensification potential happen if this does undergo that potential. So depending on what this looks like as we go towards Thursday and Friday, this doesn't have a landfall until Saturday night, Sunday as a Cat 1, Cat 2 on the European model. That's what the Euro shows. Now the GFS model, a completely different story. Let's go ahead and go to the 6Z from this morning. This is the latest run, the newest one's coming in, but I don't have time to show that one to you guys right now because it's still updating. But this is the 6Z from this morning. Has a tropical depression, tropical storm by Wednesday night. So the timing still looking like it could be Tuesday, Wednesday before we get an official named storm potentially. But it has a rapid intensifying storm all the way up to landfall before making landfall here in the Apalachicola, maybe Cedar Key area again, kind of an Idalia Ian track potentially. Not, saying that officially yet, but that's something to be mindful of. And it has this landfall being Friday night into Saturday morning with those impacts actually moving off the coastline. And this becomes more of a East Coast system once we get into the weekend potentially. So a lot of time to figure this out. The ensembles are still, trying to figure this out. I'll actually do, when we do our live stream today, I'll have an ensemble map so I can show you guys what the ensembles are showing. But I just want to give you guys an idea on what was going to be happening going forward with this system. So Other than that, guys, I'm going to leave it at that with the video. We'll do more an in-depth conversation throughout the week on what's going to happen for the first week of August, or the first week of October, and the last week here of September. But other than that, if you're along the coastline, now is your time to kind of start, watching here, especially Louisiana over to the western side of Florida, I'd say down to Tampa area. Be mindful that you could have some impacts next week if this does become a tropical storm or hurricane. So be safe, guys. Be weather aware. Enjoy your Saturday. Get out there and do something. It's beautiful for a lot of people this weekend. So I will see you guys in the next video, and so I will see you guys on the stream as well this afternoon. Be safe, guys, and weather aware.